just not knowing what's going to happen.
Right.
That's always fun. Yeah. And you might get like one sound out of wasting half an hour, but it can be cool.
Yeah. For me, it's like a lesson of just like embracing the chaos,
Absolutely. Yeah. No, sometimes that can be a really cool breakdown or transition into something else, or sometimes like a epilogue off into the distance at the end of a song. I mean, it's almost over, but then what's that?
Yeah.
There's all those possibilities. Yeah.
Do you struggle with work-life balance? It sounds like you're like just so passionate and learning, and it's in your head, and you're always
oh gosh,
chasing the
this one's tough. This one's tough.
Yeah. Sure.
I mean, I think I'm so obsessed with sound and music and making music that it's almost like a disease, to the point where it's like I don't really function very well in the real world. I mean, honestly, it's like I have 4 kids, and I'm with them 5-6 hours every day before I come here, and I cook for them, and we play and ride bikes and all that. But once that's behind me, I'm sort of in another world, and it's really hard for me to work and integrate myself into society. Really, I'm a hermit from get go. I've been in dark rooms without windows for like decades. So yeah, it's it's an obsession.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun. For me. I find that like production is so amazing and so fun and life giving, but it's also such a massive emotional suck that it's hard for me to do too many productions at once. Like I kind of feel like, for me personally, like I need to do like a bit of mixing, a bit of other things, and like a little bit of production. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it overwhelms me.
Oh God, I'm so overwhelmed. I mean, like I literally, some weeks, I'm in a period now where I'm working literally 80 to 90 hours a week because I have so many things going on at once. I have like, I have network cues for a trailer. I've got 2 EPs, 5-song EPs with different artists, 1 album project with a long distance. I mean, and the stuff just keeps piling up. It's a feast or famine business. I have to take it when it's there, and then at some point it'll all stop, and I'll be like fishing. So it's like that's the music business. You have to realize that.
Yeah,
it's never going to change.
Right. It sounds like you also love it, and you live for it. So
I do.
That gives you the energy to do 80-hour weeks, which I couldn't imagine doing.
It's like a giant jigsaw puzzle for me, and I can't even leave to sleep unless that piece is fitting. And sometimes that piece doesn't come in a half an hour or 2 hours or 4 hours, Right. So yeah, and that's not fun. That's like, you want to punch yourself in the face sometimes, but you're not going to leave until you get it, and that's the determination that, I guess I don't know if I developed it or if I was born with it. I think there's a certain element of, what do they call it? Attention deficit or OCD or whatever it is. I think if I was a kid today, they would have me on something,
Yeah.
I think that's just the way my brain has always been. I can hyper focus for 100 hours on something, but I can't fill out this form. You know what I mean?
You're right. Well, you're in the right business.
It gets me into trouble with my accountant, and it's like I have trouble functioning as a person in society. Okay, you need to fill out this thing, or you're going to have to go to a jury duty. Oh my God, it's like that's the end of the world.
Right?
Yeah, it's really hard for me. Yeah, I don't integrate well.
Yeah, it's I totally relate to that. I feel like maybe I don't know, maybe my son is younger than your kids. So I'm like forced into this.
Not by much. I've got a 5. We've got 5 just turned. No, I've got 1-year-old, 5-year-old.
Oh wow!
9-year-old.
So you're in the same. You're in the same thing as me.
1, 5, 9, 12, and they're amazing kids. They're multilingual. I mean, my wife is she's incredible. She homeschools them, and she speaks. They all speak Russian, and my daughter went to a French school, so she's fluent in French, and she's an incredible violinist. I mean, and my son's pianist. It's amazing. I mean, the music in our family is just it's great.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's all my wife though. It's not me. She's got better genes than me for all that stuff. She was classically trained. I'm just bang on stuff. I'm like a monkey. I'm not. My daughter intimidates me when she starts playing Bartok. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's like, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I got off on the family thing, but I have to. My wife puts up with me. I'm like the fifth kid. I'm crawling around all day on, with pedals. So I'm going to be just like, another kid.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I'm living a slightly different reality in terms of just like how many hours I can actually put into this. But
Yeah.
but that's amazing that you're able to do it and to
Well, sleep. Sleep is the problem.
right. Sleep
I
is the
only
problem.
I sleep maybe 4 or 5 hours a night, and then I'll have to take a nap in the afternoon.
Mm.
Like usually about an hour, 15 minutes. Yeah. So, but I go to sleep really easily, but I can't stay asleep because my stuff, all these songs and all these ideas, they never stop. They're always going through my head. So I'll wake up 4 hours later, inevitably.
Wow. I can ask you. I don't know if you're comfortable talking about this on the air. You talked about like
Oh, no problem.
cutting out alcohol.
Yep. No problem. No, I'm in the program since 2017. So that actually has helped.
Yeah.
I think without, it's helped a lot. And, yeah, I have no problem talking about that. I think I wish I did it 20 years earlier, but
Yeah. I mean, I spoke with another guest recently named Matt Ruffino, and he was telling me he quit alcohol not because he was, drinking too much or anything, but he felt like he wasn't 100% after he would drink. And it's given him so much more energy. And he also is like not sleeping. He's working around the clock and he's totally energized and thinking about all these things when he goes to sleep. Very much like you, he sounded like.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people like that in this business.
For sure. Yeah. And he was saying how like when he quit alcohol, like it just kind of gave him all that extra energy. Did you find the same thing happen with you?
I did, but then I was never a person into sweets. And then after I gave up alcohol, I started being addicted to chocolate and cakes and cookies and caffeine. Like I have an espresso machine, and it was like sweets and espresso. Yeah. So I became like a mess on that stuff. And then I had a dental procedure where I couldn't eat for a couple of days. And I gave up sweets and gluten. And now I'm day 12, no sweets and no gluten. And I'm like, I have so much more energy. It's insane. I mean, I cleaned the garage out the other day. My wife was like, "What the heck what are you on?"
What am I off?
Yeah, no. So I'm serious. I think gluten and sugar. I'm taking a break from it. And I feel like way better.
Nice.
So
yeah, I got to watch what you eat.
Oh, I'm dying though for a chocolate anything.
Yeah, totally. I'm with you. It comes and goes in waves. I went on like we did like a 1 month. I called it a cleanse, but it was just like,
okay, good.
We just kind of, it was about a year ago. It was over a year ago, actually. We
That's
just like
good for you.
took a month off of dairy, a month off of like
Good for
any
you.
added sugars or anything like that. And
That's a big one, really is.
yeah.
It's
but then slowly crept back.
Coffee, forget it. No way am I giving up coffee.
I'm
That's
never
the
giving
one
up
thing
coffee. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't handle it. I can't handle life without coffee. I just can't. I'm sorry. That's it.
I had a professor in college tell me this, or tell the class this. Like coffee is like your privilege as an adult. Like you have to deal with all these other things as an adult now, but like at least you get to have coffee. Like that's like your little bonus.
I like it. I'm along with him on that one.
Yeah, it was a woman, but yeah, totally.
Check out my mug. It's Pro Tools. Like I don't see enough of that all day.
I got Flight of the Conchords on my mug. So.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
It's great to meet you.
Yeah, likewise. As they say, like in Jewish, l'chaim.
Yeah.
On air l'chaim. We'll keep this in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit. I mean, maybe this is since this is sort of related to what we were talking about. Longevity. You've been doing this for a long time, and I'm just curious to what your thoughts are about sustaining a long-term career in this industry, maintaining, a healthy life, and doing this
that's
for so
something
long.
that nobody's ever asked me before. And I would say my biggest accomplishment, is the fact that I'm still doing this all these years later. And, so many people have like 3-5 years, in a certain place. And I've been on the A list and up the ladder and down the ladder, and I'm on my third ride up again. It's like, it's always been a bit of a struggle. And even after all these years, it's still a bit of a struggle. But, I've never been like a trust fund kid. I've always worked hard every month to make the studio nut and pay people. It's like, it's never been like a cakewalk for me, and I think it's just the biggest miracle in the world that people still, after all this time, want to me to work on their music, and it's like I don't know, I can even get teary about it. I just can't even believe it. Like I had a lot of crappy jobs early on as a kid, like as a teenager, putting wheels on Nerf toys, and just horrible jobs, like assembly line type jobs, and I don't think a day goes by where I don't think, man, am I lucky not to be on the assembly line putting wheels on the Nerf toys. I mean, so like I constantly am full of gratitude for it, and I think I've always been super flexible and good with people. I think that those two things, and having good relationships with artists and helping them, and I've had some lucky breaks along the way, but you get a lucky break that only gets you in the door. It doesn't like let you stay there. If you're going to stay there, you got to be doing something else right, and I'm constantly reinventing myself. Like I'm just getting ready to do my own podcast and get into this world,
Cool.
I'm going to do, Duran Duran's having their 25th anniversary of Midazolam, which is a record I'm well known for doing. And it's sort of their Sgt. Pepper's. It's way out there, kind of like I am, And so there's a lot of, there's renewed interest in that. And it's the 25th anniversary this year. So I'm going to do a podcast on each song, things like that. I'm getting into all kinds of new stuff, and
That's great.
I'm studying, as a composer, I'm studying. With Neil Desby, he's a Hollywood orchestrator, and he's been beating me up with contrapuntal writing, and it's like never ending. I think that's what I'm trying to say is you always have to keep learning stuff, growing, improving, trying new things, and that's going to translate into people wanting to discover you again and again and again. I'm not remotely the same producer I was when I started, or even 5 years ago. I've only been into the modular synth world for a couple of years, for instance, and studying Bach, the two-part inventions and things like that. It's just opened up a whole different side of me that I never knew existed. So I think that's it. It's the need to continue to learn and grow. Let's pick up that manual that I never read, the Nord G2 manual that's like this thick. You know what? I'm going to friggin' read a couple of chapters in it. And then suddenly you just discovered something that you had this synth for 20 years and you never knew how to do something.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the stuff that you just got to keep accumulating it. And comfort is a drug. Being comfortable is a drug. And I have to kick myself to get out of my comfort zone. It's a struggle, it really is.
What drives you to get out of your comfort zone?
Just the need to find a new way to do something better, or the need to, improve like the overall outcome of something, or it could be a piece of gear. It's like, man, I've never been able to get that thing to do this. I've never plugged my guitar into it. What would happen if I plugged my guitar into it? It's truly endless there, and it's easy to just get into a situation where you don't even want to get out of your chair. Everything's working, and it's like, but you got to get out of your chair and you got to say, I'm going to plug this in all differently. I'm going to put in my old H4000 that I haven't turned on in 4 years, and I'm going to put on Echo Space of God and see what that sounds like. I find this is an interesting thing. I call it nothing with everything, everything with nothing. Sometimes some of my best stuff comes from grabbing a bunch of things I haven't used in a long time, throwing them in my car, and then making a setup at home when my wife's out of town or whatever. And like in that 3 or 4 days I'm working on a record, all of a sudden I'm doing stuff that's like 10 times better than what I've been doing for the last 3 months, because I'm making it happen with nothing. So sometimes when you have too many options and too much gear, it actually it waters down your output. Your mind has to sometimes find that special place, and it's not always about familiarity or comfort. That's the point I'm trying to make in a really long roundabout way.
No, I love this. It's so good. It's so good. Yeah, I mean that curiosity of lifelong learning, and there's so many doors to open, and then checking out those doors, and then sometimes limiting yourself also to just this. If I'm sure it's been talked about on this podcast and on lots of podcasts of just limitations lead to creativity, because that becomes the
catalyst,
the canvas. Yeah, exactly. Or this is your limitation, and this is what you could do. Okay, so what can I do the most out of this situation?
Let's take an iPhone now. I mean, you have this iPhone, right?
Yeah.
And you can get there's a plugin called Spacecraft, which I usually don't tell anybody about. It's so cool. But you can import audio into it, and you start manipulating it on your phone. It's
wow.
It's insane. It's it's another whole world unto itself. It really is. So there's all these little microcosms of technology that can take you in a place you've never been. They're everywhere. They're all around us. Even a program like Nano Loop, which is it's basically a Nintendo, for your phone. Nano Loop, Nano, and you can get in there, and it's years ago I had a Nintendo with the Nano Loop cartridge, and it turned it into a sequencer.
Oh, cool.
I love, I have an Atari